Everyone. Today I've got a big story about some guy, some insane Brooklyn guy that I really want to talk about. But before that, in order to really explore where it starts and just how insane it becomes at the end, I'll just cover a story. I'll give a quick summary of another big TikTok creator, that being World of T-Shirts. And I say big, but I mean more in the sense of, a very depressing guy that started off TikTok, very wholesome, very enjoyable, but the more he got popular, the more connections he made while being in New York, he got worse and worse to the point that now he's like a hollow husk of who he was and like the creator he was, always being happy, and just basically at this point, the only entertainment value that he has is getting drunk every goddamn time you see him. He's basically in the same demographic as Spuddy Turan, if you remember him. Where was some guy with autism and they would go travel around the world. Well, not really the world, but go to some countries, go to some cities, and they would really enjoy it, having fun, making TikToks about it. But at some point, they would stay there for so long that there would be very few signs of them going back to their families and also becoming alcoholics. Because it doesn't make sense, they're out in a big city, they're partying a lot, and people around them, their friends, people they know for a day, they get them hooked on alcohol, and from there, since they have no one to manage them, and they're way too young to have a limit, they start drinking every goddamn day. And you know what? I love me a good alcoholic creator, be it on YouTube or TikTok. But it's the difference between someone like Shoe Nice being like drinking an entire bottle of vodka and be like, tastes like sour heads. And then someone like him, World of T-Shirts. Because he's a very young guy, in his 20s, barely breaking 21. But he's really setting himself down a very dark path of drinking every day and having a crippling addiction where he doesn't show any signs of wanting to quit. And he's in the worst environment ever in New York where he's surrounded by a bunch of different people, no one he knows basically, and no family or friends to influence them to get it better. So if you were a fan of World of T-Shirts, you'd be like, but after seeing a couple of his videos, you'd go from wow, what a great guy, what a funny guy, to now seeing the actual real person he is, Joshua Block, this very young guy that doesn't deserve to be making TikToks because it is actually ruining him. And that's depressing. But let's take a turn from that story of Joshua Block to a very negative influence that's affecting him and causing this whole behavior on him on TikTok. That being his manager, Mr. Based, or his actual name, Jason Itzler. If I'm saying that correctly, it does sound like it's Hebrew and he's from Brooklyn, so it's very likely. Not that I don't want to offend him, because this guy is a scumbag, to use his own weapon against him, he's a scumbag. Because right off the bat, what does a TikToker need a manager? Especially with him with a World of T-Shirts, when there's nothing else but get drunk every goddamn TikTok live or every video. And that's when you realize and discover that his manager is feeding Joshua the alcohol. Because he knows that him getting fucked up to the point that's actually crippling him, that's when he gets the most interaction and engagement with people liking the TikTok and commenting oh my god, please stop, please get help. And it does suck, it's very miserable to watch, but it is boosting the videos up because more people are watching, they're staying for longer, and they're waiting for signs of him getting better for the one day that he finally stops alcohol, which he likely won't. Or if he does, it'll be when this guy, his manager, Mr. Based, fucks off. So if you have any sympathy for Joshua Block, you'd ask yourself, how does this young guy, this fairly nice and well-spirited kid, be associated with a guy like this? That's a pure piece of shit. That is a question that a small YouTuber asked himself, Alex Novell, which from there, he started investigating this manager. Who was he? What's his background? How is he this much of a bastard? Where, after a lot of digging, probably an insane amount I imagine, he came to a story from his past where he raped a girl and apparently murdered her. Allegedly, according to him. The story being that years back, he was at a bar in Miami and he spiked the girl's drink, and after she got, woozy, he took her home, raped her, and from the sheer amount that he put in the drink, she overdosed and died from it. And the police did investigate on him, to what happened, but according to him, Alex Novell, the police department was so busy with other investigations of drink spiking and overdosing, so they didn't really have time to fully get into it. so he just dismissed it and left it alone. So this guy, this small YouTuber, he does more investigation, he finds more information about him, he talks to him to press him on his alleged murder, and he denies it, of course, and from there he spews more information like how before in the past he was a pimp, an ex-pimp, and that is a very small minor detail of the story, but me personally, I do believe it. If you see the way that he treats Joshua Block, as well as his mannerisms, seeming a lot like a New York business guy on crack. Alex Novell spreads the story around, he tells it to Keemstar, and Keemstar brings him on Lolcow Live to talk about it. And Jason, Mr. Bass, he gets pissed off from that, so then he comes on Lolcow Live to clear up the air. And honestly, from a lot of attempts I've seen of people trying to make themselves seem innocent, his one was probably the worst I've ever seen in my life. I want you personally, to listen to a couple of anecdotes of how crazy of a life he's lived.
Bro, I'm 57, I've lived a bunch of lifetimes, I did 7 years in prison, I had a roommate Zoltan that probably killed a girl, I met the girl for 15 minutes.
Wow. Also, if you want to prove this guy caring about life and the well-being of others, halfway through the stream, he just throws his dog across the room. So yeah, worst offense of the year, by far, 100%. And from there, the story got way more traction. It was put on Lolcow Live, and now more people are invested in it. And from there, Alex Novell, he then plans to go to Jason's house in Brooklyn and get a more confrontative interview, right on camera, face to face. Which is what led to the downfall of Mr. Bass, the downfall. Because after he confronted him, he went to his house, met him, he gets very, very close to his face, as you can see from the camera that Alex is holding. And from there, it cuts to another camera that Alex's friend is holding, and it shows both of them fighting. I'm gonna assume that Jason started it. He started because if you listen to the video, you can hear Alex yell for help, and then just out of nowhere, he gets a selfie stick swung on his head.
Call the cops! Call the cops! He's attacking me! Call the cops! Oh, he's attacking me! Somebody help!
And it doesn't sound that bad, but after the whole interaction, he took pictures, and I can't show the picture, but it's so graphic and detailed, I can give a good description of a huge gash above his eyebrow that's big enough to spew out blood. And as someone that's stitched his own wounds, I know for a fact that his definitely needs some. The rest of the video of the clip is just Alex, chasing after him, yelling for help. And Jason, all he does is he doesn't get tackled, he doesn't get arrested, he just walks away. And me personally, I don't live in New York, but this is a really toxic lifestyle of people being beaten up and no one even attempting to help him at all. If they were fans of World of Teacher on TikTok and they were caught up with the law, they would know who it'd be and they would stop him. From there, Alex talked to Keem, he brought him on Lolcow Live again to explain what happened, and Keem really invested in the story and he hired 5 private investigators to look more into him, who eventually, just as of yesterday, they found him his location and had him surrounded, working with the New York police to have him arrested. He hasn't been just yet. Even at this point, they found another location, another living place where he might be at, and they're just waiting to find him eventually and then have him arrested, which is very likely if they already have 2 locations where they might be at. So the end of the story of this guy getting rightfully arrested is coming to a close very, very soon. And the last deal of the story I want to mention because it's really funny and shows how insane this guy is, Mr. Bass. There was an interaction on messages between Keemstar, or more an intermediate between Keemstar and Mr. Bass, where he mentions how the distraught from Keemstar has proven to be nearly suicidal. I'm gonna read it right now for a second. I'm headed to Brooklyn Bridge, jumping. Keemstar made life unlivable. I'm now running and hiding forever. Fuck this shit. Be well, bro. Thanks for trying to help. Don't tell a soul. And then when the guy that works for Keemstar tries to interact with him more, he tries to pretend that he lost his phone and that someone else found it and they have no idea whose phone this is. So yeah, just a very fucked guy that deserves to be no one's manager. Especially with right now, Keemstar, if you check his Twitter, mentions how he's planning on leaving the country. It makes sense. It's not possible, because he's mentally insane, so you can't trust everything he says. Not Keemstar, Jason, that guy. But if it's true, he's also planning on influencing Joshua, World of T-shirts, to also leave with him, like flee the country. And that would be much worse because he doesn't deserve to be tied with him with an actual criminal. So I do legitimately hope that this arrest happens because this guy, he deserves to have like all this connection with Joshua cut immediately. And that would be a very bizarre end to this whole story, both of Mr. Based and World of T-shirts, where after that, he hopefully leaves New York for a good time, for a while, and goes back to his family. I hope, so I want.